Traders, stop overthinking this market and pay attention to the price structure. Bitcoin has just done something a lot of people were not prepared for. It has sold off hard. Ethereum has also broken a major support. Yes, I know it's a little uncomfortable, but some people are calling for a bottom. The thing is, Bitcoin and Ethereum are now sitting at zones that are historically much more important, and you need to pay attention to this. So, in this video, what we're going to go over is I'm going to show you on the weekly, the daily, and the monthly time frame what's going on here, why the weekly chart is now in a long-term buy zone, and why the short-term bearish risk still exists. And then after the video's over, you'll understand what you have to do next and why you should be managing your risk very carefully here. Let's go! Now, before we get into this, let's make sure, guys, do me a favor, press the like button, hit subscribe, all those things, right? You'll find it in the links in the description. Very cool. Also, you can click on my Telegram channel link. That's where the signals are offered. We have the signals, the updates, everything is there every single day. Check that out. And by the way, we are still running the challenge, right? The $10,000 to $100,000 trade challenge, and we'll talk more about this here in a moment. All right. So again, in this situation, I am not overreacting. I'm just letting the price come to my levels, and the trade ideas are shared in that Telegram channel. And by the way, we have a trade idea coming up, and I'm going to tell you more about it in a moment here. All right. So pay attention. Now, before we get into the charts, let's talk a little bit about the news, shall we? So we have a situation here. Bitcoin is getting beat up hard, right? But here's the thing. A 40% pullback even, right? It's 40% below the 2025 peak, which of course was the 126K. Is really not a big deal in this situation, right? So you have to, this basically underscores the idea of the bigger picture levels. And I've been talking about that a lot. So again, pay attention to this, because what this means is you don't want to get caught up in these broad, exaggerated moves, and you don't want to lose your mind in this situation. You want to pay attention to where the levels are on the bigger picture first. Bigger picture means monthly. And from there, you want to be able to recognize what an opportunity can look like, and you want to recognize a confirmation. So use information like this to your advantage. Now, let's move on to this guy. All right, so this guy, Kevin O'Leary, we all know who he is. And he's been saying right here that the Clarity Act, which is just around the corner, is expected to go through, and that regulatory clarity alone could send Bitcoin toward 200K. Let's take a quick listen.
More to tenants than Bitcoin. Until Bitcoin becomes a regulated security through the Clarity Act and gets up to 150,000, that's probably where, or maybe 200,000, where you're agnostic to either leasing the power at sub 6 cents a kilowatt hour to a hyperscaler or mining Bitcoin. But I think that's great about Bitcoin, is to capture a value while you have no use for that electricity any other.
All right, great. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so I mean, so that's a nice thing. But these guys like him, you have to be careful. He likes to throw around these ridiculous numbers, 200K. Yeah, maybe in a couple of years, right? But that's not something like it's going to reverse and go back there tomorrow. So please keep that in perspective. It's good that you have cheerleaders like this come out and push that, and he is underscoring something important about the Clarity Act. And like I talked about that in yesterday's video, you should be paying attention to that, okay? Anyway, let's move along because this guy is boring. So, 2 trillion in banking giant Citibank just said Bitcoin is still going to $189,000, right? The $2 trillion banking giant said that. Again, similar to, Kevin O'Leary over here, Mr. Wonderful. Yeah, they're saying the same thing, right? They're saying, okay, market's going back up. So, you know, again, it's good to hear these things, but don't let stuff like this sway your decision making. You should be making decisions with the fundamentals in the background, but using the technicals to help you control your risk and get a sense of when things are changing and what that potential is. All right. So, with all that being said, Bitcoin is historically in one of these zones. Bitcoin has been in some important levels, and we're gonna go. And it doesn't mean it's gonna go in a straight line from here. So you know what? We're gonna get into the charts now. So let's just jump into it. We're gonna begin with this chart. You guys know how I feel about this chart, right? Yeah, it's rainbow time, people. So hey, you have to have an open mind. So on this time frame, right? Let's talk a little bit about what this means here, because it's the rainbow is nice. Now, this is where the long-term context holds. Bitcoin has now entered the rainbow buy zone. You see that on this chart here, and that's this blue area. So we're going to get into the smaller time frames on what that means. But here's the thing: the idea is simple. The lower Bitcoin moves into the blue and purple regions, the cheaper it becomes relative to its long-term adoption curve. That's what this means. I know this is not pride, but you know what? It's whatever. Historically, every time Bitcoin goes into these zones, you see strength eventually develop. So this is why you have to keep it so close on your radar. Let's take a look here at the daily chart so we can see what this means in more detail. So right now, Bitcoin is looking ugly. This is that blue zone that we just looked at on the rainbow chart. And we broke this bear flag. So this is where the long-term context sits, right? Now, again, this is important because here's why. There are some levels you need to pay attention to, whether you are long or short. So this flag pattern is now in play. And from the previous move, you have to consider this. Bitcoin sold off from the 116,000 to the 82,000 area. That's what this arrow represents here. Now, the next sell-off occurred from around 90,000, right? That would be this break around this area here, right? The break of the actual bear flag pattern. Now, if this flag fully plays out, then the next projected level is around the $55,000 region. If you look to the left, right? Because these patterns tend to have symmetry to them. So it doesn't guarantee that it's going to get there. Understand that. But what it does tell us is it gives us a potential uh, objective, right? It's a price objective. If you're short, then you're looking for that objective to cover. That would be nice. But again, this is not absolute. So don't get caught up with this. At the same time, the market may stabilize before then. We have some major levels coming up around the low 70s area, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. But this is your broader price objective. So keep that in mind. Now, let's take a look here at the Bitcoin 4-hour. Now, this supply zone that I'm showing you on this chart, this is a key level. Now, the 88,000 to the $90,000 area, right? That's this area up here. That's important because that is we're going to be using as a confirmation for a reversal. What that helps us here with is it lets us know that if you're getting in long right now, if you're taking aggressive longs, you have to understand it's aggressive because the momentum is not really considered shifted or confirmed until we're back up above, back above that supply zone. So right now, Bitcoin is interacting with the supply zone around the 84K area. We just basically rejected that. And you can see we're pushing into what? We're in the 77s right now. And this is where I want to talk about the lower level because the 73K support, if anyone remembers, was the all-time high before the U.S. election back in 24. This is important because that is most likely to act as a major support area. It doesn't have to touch 74K. I mean, what's this tail here is around what, 75? That's kind of close enough. It is very likely to see a failed low or double bottom here. So that would be an aggressive entry for a long if that came about. And that's one possible trade idea. But the confirmation is not in play until the supply zone is compromised or consumed. That is important. And really, the more conservative level would be 88K. But if the supply is consumed, 88K becomes a price objective, meaning if you're long, you can use that to set a profit objective. Now, let's move along here to Ethereum because Ethereum really got beat up here, people. And I know people may be caught in this thing, but this is why you should always be prepared for both scenarios. On this daily time frame, the most important thing has happened. The support at 2,700 has been cleared, it's been broken, and that basically says that the bear scenario is now in play. So this is not a bullish structure. which means longs are going to be less likely. They're going to have less potential. And if you're going long now, it's a little early. Because now, here's the thing. Below the current price, the next major daily area of interest sits around the 2100 to 21100 area, somewhere around there. All right. And that's the objective that we have here. Price is almost there. So keep in mind, if you're short, hey, you have a little more room to play with. Let it ride. If you're waiting for a long, it's still a little early. So you're going to want to be looking around here. And the 1874 area is going to be even more interesting. So here's the thing. There's a trade idea that's developing here, and the structure is still bearish, and lower prices are possible. But rallies are suspect until proven otherwise, just like I was explaining on that Bitcoin chart. So the daily gives me this idea, and it tells me what side you want to be on. So watch these levels. There's nothing to do at the moment. Just keep your eyes peeled and be prepared for the change of structure, but we're not even close to that yet. All right. So now let's talk about the 4-hour chart, because that's really where the details are for the trade ideas. This is where you get all the detail levels and the confirmations. So on the 4-hour time frame, all right, after the 2700 was broken, Ethereum sold off. Okay, that's pretty obvious here. Now, that tells us that the bears are in control and markets don't move in straight lines. Now, the exact entry zone or the exact trade zone I'm watching sits between that 2800 and 2900 area. It's the former daily support, all right? And now that area is up in here. That's the key level. So there's a lot of room here. This thing has some room to go before this thing becomes a long. So what that also means is if price gets up there, there's also a possible short idea, because at this moment, shorts are favored. So if you're going to go short, shorting right now is extremely aggressive and extremely risky. Price may push to this price objective. You just have to understand that if you take a short now and this thing reverses in your face, you need to be prepared to get out. Otherwise, it is better or more conservative to wait for this pattern to unfold and then wait for your confirmation around this key level, and then look for the retest. That retest, you can see here, this is the trade idea. Okay? That's the trade idea. You would be looking for the retest of the support, and that would be your profit objective. All right, so now real quick, people, I want to jump into the trade challenge, just kind of give you an update real quick, let you know where we're at. So 3 trades were taken. And, we had 2 winning trades. We had 1 losing trade. That's a 66.67% win rate. The losing trade was a mini stop loss at 0.5%. I've explained that before. And the winning trades returned more than 2%. So the account is basically up about $10,446. That's 4.46% with a profit factor of 9.46. All right, so the goal is simple. Keep the losses small. Let the winners run. And the next trade, keep an eye out for it. You can see all that logged here. Everything is transparent. Now, so just to wrap this up, again, Bitcoin is in its long-term, in this buy zone area. That should give you the heads up that this thing can turn around and you should be prepared. Now, also, the Ethereum situation, the support has been broken, and I just explained where you want to either wait for that resistance level to give you a short idea, or you want to just be prepared for the long reversal at those current levels. Either way, you have to keep an eye on both sides of the situation. Now, make sure, people, that you've subscribed to the channel. Press the like button. Look, see that little arrow? Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. It really helps out the channel a lot. Make sure to visit the Telegram channel and sign up for that, because there's a lot of value there. By the way, all trades are taken on WeX, so you can check that out as well. They're a great platform, especially if you're a beginner, if you're looking for a platform. And by the way, if you subscribe through WeX through the link in the description, it really helps out the channel, and I appreciate that a lot. Otherwise, all these trades are logged on Profits Precision. You can see the website here, and you should check it out for yourself because it's a great journaling tool. All right, other than that, people, I really appreciate you sticking around. So just be careful, manage your risk carefully, and I shall see you in the next one.